This morning here, I have a special guest friend. We've been associated with each other for probably, well, I know it's more than 10 years anyways. So, Reinhard S. He's a creator of this technology that you see that I've been working with, that I've been sharing with other people. He's an OG enthusiast, so you're going to hear a little bit about OGs here this morning. And he's been an energy fanatic just like I have. And we just love to bring more of this to you here. So anyways, so what we also strongly recommend you would do, if you have any questions, send them in to us, okay? So share this information with friends, let them know we're on. And then questions that you might have for us. If we don't get to answer them for you today, we'll try. And if not, we'll get back to you. And we trust we'll get to do future segments of this, and we'll get into more depth. So this morning, we're going to take the opportunity with Reinhard being available here for us and to kind of explain a little bit more of how he got connected with his creations here. So Reinhard, welcome. So you have the chair.
Thank you. I got interested in this subsequent to my retirement in 1996. I was a high school teacher in Calgary, and I retired and I came out here to live in Richmond. And I was looking for something to do with my time. And so I tried a number of MLMs, and I discovered that my heart wasn't into selling things along that line. So I came across Don Croft, a fellow out of Oregon at the time, and he was making these little Dixie cups filled with metal, and he stuck a crystal inside them, and was throwing them near cell phone towers, and he said that they would help neutralize the negativity coming off those cell phone towers. Well, that registered with me. That's something positive. I knew that cell phone towers were not beneficial to us, so I said, I can do that. I'm going to do that. So I started making these tower busters, he called them. I stuck a crystal, metal, resin, let it harden for a few hours. In the hot sun, they harden within an hour or so. Within 2 hours, they're hard enough, you can throw them near a cell phone tower. You only have to get within a quarter of a mile of one for them to be effective. You don't even have to be close to them. And I also discovered that if you threw them into a ditch that had water in it, they would be even more effective, because water is the best conductor. Water, then earth, then air in terms of conductivity. So in Richmond, there's no problem finding water-filled ditches. So
well, they used to call it ditchment.
That's right. So for 2 or 3 years, I was making these things and gifting them all over the lower mainland on both roads, on both sides of the road, from here to White Rock and over to the Alex Fraser Bridge on River Road. Everywhere I saw a cell phone tower, I would throw one of these tower busters or hide them in the bushes or bury them in the ground. But I even had a couple of interesting encounters with the constabulary, the police, which I won't go into on this program, but it was interesting. So one day I was making tower busters, and the thought occurred to me, why don't you make them as an art object so people can use them in their living rooms? You don't have to just throw them near cell phone towers. So that's what I did. I started teaching myself how to make them more aesthetically pleasing, and since making mistakes is your best teacher, and I'm still learning, 15 years later, I'm still learning how to make them more effective and more pleasing to the eye, and it got me to this point.
Yeah, it's very exciting, really, to see the journey, because I know that when we connect, let's test this one, let's test this design. We're always testing new ideas, and me and my guns, my wands, we check them out for energy, and it's the beauty that I just find, we can test them for different energy patterns and strength and so on, and then we think of all kinds of applications. And so yeah, it's important to always, whatever you do in life, or wake up like I know you do, and I know you were a teacher, but as teachers we still need to be taught. So there's also that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher arrives, and who's our best teacher? It's the universe, as it's exposing so much for us. So we just all have to keep open mind, open eyes, open ears, willing to receive more, right? And not go in with blinders. A lot of people, no. Fear sets in. The world is controlled through fear. So, and then when we start to explore more of what these things and how they can really contribute, because it's all part of nature. And I look at people, let nature be your friend, and because it's there, we are part of nature. So often we counter in it. We're accepting. They talk a lot about fake news. Well, there's so many things that are fake out there. Let's bring in the real things. And when we start realizing that everything is energy, and when we got energy flowing in the proper way, it harmonizes us. So our bodies are like a big, huge orchestra, many, many instruments, trillions of cells, and really we're a universe, we're part of the larger universe. And once we get more in tune to what it is, we can receive an awful lot of help and make this whole journey a better experience, And here we are, Reinhard teaches me about the subject. None of us, we can know it all. We're all part of the whole larger concept of what life presents to us. And so I've really enjoyed working with Reinhard, his ideas. And so tell us a little bit about maybe the domes, the pyramids. We've got pockets, OGs, we've got the little pendants as well. These are beautiful creations. Go ahead.
Perhaps I should briefly just go back to the fellow who really started all of this, Wilhelm Reich.
Yes, there's a history to it.
Yeah, Wilhelm Reich was a psychiatrist who was mentored by Freud, and like everyone else who had worked with Freud, got into arguments about their ideas, and Freud would buck no opposition, so they all left him. Carl Jung worked with Freud, he left him. Freud was very insistent that you only talk about his ideas and his theories, and these fellows weren't going to buck that at all. So Wilhelm Reich went on his own, and it was in the 30s at this time, and Hitler was coming down on the Jews in Germany, so he fled to Norway for a while. And in the early 40s, Reich found himself in the United States. So he set up his research center in Wrangell, Maine, and conducted experiments there. And what he came up with, he was building wooden chambers in which he lined wood, steel wool, wood, linen, steel wool, and he built these wooden cabinets, and people with chronic illnesses would sit in them for half an hour, for an hour, and lo and behold, many of their illnesses went away. So word got around, if the medical community can't help you anymore, you've got nothing to lose. Go and see Reich and sit in his orgone accumulator and see if that will help you. Well, the problem is that if you come up with a healing modality that is not approved by the FDA, anything like that. So, of course, he was charged with some bogus charge of transportation of a medical device across interstate lines, which is nonsense. Anyway, he ended up in jail for 2 years. And just a month or two before he was released from his sentence in jail, he mysteriously died of a heart attack. But I think he had help with that, because he wouldn't keep his mouth shut about what he knew and what he learned. So they had to silence him, I guess. And then nothing happened for many years afterwards, until Don Croft somehow figured out that if he took a crystal and some metal shavings and some resin, his wife was very clairvoyant. He wasn't using a crystal at first at all, and he found that just crystal, metal, and resin would give off kind of energy. But then his wife suggested one day, why don't you stick a crystal in there and let's see what happens? So he did, and he made one, and he came and showed it to her, and she could see there was a blue-violet flame coming out of this. Oh, gee, she says, that's it, that's the answer. Stick a crystal in there. So ever since then, we've been working with crystals and metal and resin. And people have become very creative in making these things. I mean, all you have to do is go on YouTube and punch in Orgone Generators, and lots of people are making beautiful Orgone Generators. Australia, South Africa, Europe, North America, Canada. More and more people are beginning to make them and sell them as art objects. So Wilhelm Reich, Don Croft, and that's where we are today.
And today there are many people, like you say, that are involved.
Yeah, there are more and more. Every year, more and more people are making them because they're discovering that this energy is very beneficial. You just have to have a few of them around the house or stick them next to a sick or dying plant and watch what happens. If the plant is meant to live, the plant will live. It will absorb this good positive energy from the orgone, heal itself, and off it goes. If it's meant to die, nothing will help that plant live. Just the same as we. If we're meant to die, no doctor or anybody can save you. Your time is up, your number is up. But in between, there's lots of things you can do to get useful, positive energy, and you can live for many more years if you do the right things. And this kind of energy certainly is beneficial and helpful for one's health. And it's good. It affects every living thing in a positive way.
Well, I know that everyone here has really come with a purpose, and to come in, they've chosen their destiny here and with a purpose. But somehow all this stuff gets kind of taken away from people, and they get controlled, right? Put you in the box. They want you in the box, and that's why often when you take you out, they put you in the box as well and bury you, right? So best thing is like allow yourself to come out of the box, and because the mind is, it's universal again. So tune yourself to what you can be, and you get more kind of connected, and then we can start playing around. Really, this is, can become a fun game when we start playing around with these things and get energized. Energy nowadays, but what is it? It's the invisible. Not so much as it's in the invisible, and that's what I love to do, is take it to the visible spectrum. So like you say, you can help plants, you can help animals, we can be helped with this, we can help to rebalance our homes, and we get the negative effects. So we want to take this particular subject as we move in down the road with more segments. We're going to get maybe more into more depth of some of these things, the applications of it. So kind of looking forward to it. And so because there's so many things, that you're an experimenter, so I'm an experimenter, and one of the things that I want to kind of share is that I started to work with these energy cards and got the universal life force symbol on there. And again, how do we know, right? And I have my wands, I can measure the energies on the body. And one day I was being educated on the fact of geopathic stress. Again, things we don't see. The lines that are running, that creating energy vortexes that can so affect us. And I have one of your little pocket OGs, and I put it on the smaller version of this card. And I started checking with the wands, geopathic stress. So take these two creations, none of them are mine, but we just combine things, and as we create these things and put them together, boom, saw the difference in that it can change the dynamics of an environment, of things that are in the invisible and neutralize that. So I'm thankful for, you know, what has come my way, and I just find that everything is there for a reason. Everything is there for a purpose. Like you mentioned, you know, how you kind of got into it. You tried different things, and there the idea of the OGs arrived. It was the same thing. What really got me into this area of keeping an open perspective of everything being energy was these wands. They were a wonderful way. They arrived to me in a way so inexpensive, and I know they were meant to be mine. And now they have become my best teacher. They're opening up all these things. So, you know, you've got, for example, one design here that is for the chakra balancing, isn't it? And I know I use this, keep this with me all the time, and so many of these other designs. So a very simple thing, like, I mean, they might look, some of these shapes as big objects, but I keep a couple of these little pockets in my pocket as well. We got the pendant, so little pendant one that you can hang on a chain, rope, whatever, around your neck. Keep it across the thymus area. Yeah, so many different applications, and it will benefit you. And it's not like consuming supplements or pills. You know, all these things, everything is energy, but it's now, you know, introducing something that will continuously produce energy because it's in tune with nature, and so it perpetuates itself. So tell me why you made the domes versus the pyramids.
We're talking about energy. Energy comes in many different forms, and it radiates outwardly in when you concentrate it in an OG, for example. If you make a pyramid, the pyramid, just by its design, if you made it out of paper, out of copper wire, just the simple pyramid shape creates a vortex energy, and it spirals up. If you take a dome, the dome radiates energy horizontally out from it, and it's not laser-like as it is on pyramids because of the geometry, but domes, smooth energy radiates out horizontally, and I have a particularly like for domes. I always have. Not that I don't like pyramids, but I like the energy coming off domes. So I make them both. I make them in all shapes and sizes. Rectangles, these are very powerful for their size. And it's the nice thing about Orgone energy, the positive Orgone energy, is it's so beneficial, so helpful for all living things. And it's so difficult to get that across to people, but they can prove that for themselves. They can take one of these things, for example, and just bury it in their garden and watch what happens to the plants to either side. You will see the difference in the lush growth that this energy makes and gives to the plants. You can prove this to yourself. You don't need to be convinced. But this energy, since you can't touch it and you can virtually not even measure it, actually there's a Ciba Geigy instrument that can measure this energy, but it's very difficult. Research institutes have them, and they're worth about $25,000 a piece. So most of us don't have access to a Ciba Geigy instrument to measure this energy, but it can be measured. It's so subtle, but it's all around. But the people who are energy sensitive, you know, and everybody knows somebody who's energy sensitive, all they have to do is pick one up and hold it, and they will tell you that they can feel the energy. So no, we can measure it, but not by way of scientific instruments.
Still shows it. As again, I use my wands to measure how it impacts our bodies. We're again a big crystal generator because we're predominantly water, so it's easy to tune that. And when we finish doing this indoor segment here, we're going to actually do an outdoor measurement with the drone, and we can see how various of these designs, what the power from them are. So it's, like they say, seeing is believing, and it's for a lot of people, and we talk about, whatever can be measured can be managed. So for the majority of people, this will be beneficial. So you can follow this particular segment afterwards and look at the YouTube segment as well, and where we show some of the power. And as we do further segments in the future, we'll pick on particular areas, and this is where we'll welcome the audience's questions on these, and perhaps then we can provide them with more answers. So do we have any questions right now that we can address? Okay. Gabriel wants to know where to buy. I tell him you'll message him later. Yeah, we have some showing on the Bioenergy Wellness Care website. Ada wants to know your website. So there's a couple of websites, but Bioenergy Wellness Care is one of the websites. Okay, and follow .com. Sorry, yeah, it's a .com. Also, go to the YouTube, so you can look up YouTube Richard Lewald, and you're going to see all kinds of videos to explain that. And so again, once we finish this segment here today, we're going to do outside, and we're going to show you the aspects of how each one is different designs, pockets, and so on. We'll take some of the various sizes, and we're going to show you the dynamics of these. So thank you for asking us this, and anything you want to add this morning?
I simply wanted to say I started out making these things 15 years ago. I'm still making them today, except they're much more powerful now with what I've learned. I have quartz crystal, I have selenium, I have kyanite, I have amethyst, I have black tourmaline in every one of these. At least 5 or 6 different crystals, and together they just, and then I make coils out of copper wire, and the coils add energy. So compared to when I first made these things, these are much more powerful. Yet the price hasn't gone up in 15 years, but more crystals have gone in. More
you put the fiber optics in there too, right?
Yeah, and the fiber optics.
So we know that fiber optics is able to conduct.
So this thing here has a range probably of half a mile or more.
Wow.
Everything in within a half a mile will be affected by this. I don't know, it could be much more than that.
Well, I think you like the ripple effect that you get, right? The initial effect, but I think this very subtle effect is going to go on and on. Yes.
So they're very extraordinary. They're powerful.
So really what I think we should put across to the audience, like how can we help ourselves? How can we help our neighbors? How can we help this world? Like even a simple one like this, if you want to, like you got a garden or whatever, put it out in your garden. If you got a pot on the balcony, live in an apartment, wherever you plant, put it with that. You're going to help your plant. You're going to help all that energy around it. And the more people are putting them in their places, I'm just thinking, for example, we're really moving into this 5G, Wi-Fi, cell energy. It's going to be so damaging. And unfortunately, it's that bottom line is what drives everybody. There's this madness about having to add to the bottom line, yet they don't realize that if they don't change the model of their thinking, the mindset, increase bottom line, for whatever reason, increase bottom line, they're going to suck the life out of everything. And then all these people that are wanting to accumulate this wealth, this control, so-called wealth control, will end up with nothing too, right? So, do yourself a favor, do everyone a favor, right? You want to help out, I would say acquire one of these. And okay, how do you know the difference? Well, there's different crystals,
Could I give you a testimonial? How do you know the difference? I had a fella come to me and he said, we have a fence My neighbor goes out every morning, I go out. We haven't said hi to each other in years and years. We don't speak to each other. He bought an OG, took it home. 2-3 days later, he's walking out back, and his neighbor says, "Hello, good morning." Well, why would that happen? And they've been reasonably friendly ever since, because this energy changes people.
Yes.
And I've had so many different testimonials. I've had the opposite as well. I've had old people complaining that there were a bunch of young people drinking and cursing and creating all kinds of noise at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and they asked them to, "Please, could you please stop? We're trying to sleep." And they just abused them and didn't do it. So they came to me and said, what can I do? I said, "I'm not sure, but I would get a big OG and take it home and let's see what happens." No guarantees. So they bought a big OG, they took it home, and I saw them a couple weeks later, and I said, "What happened to the rowdies in your neighborhood?" He says, "You wouldn't believe it. They up and moved out of the neighborhood. It's quiet now." So what happens is that if you're negative, that negativity is going to get worse to the point where you're going to do something, you're going to get away. But if you're coming from a good spot, it will also improve that. So it's a double-edged sword.
Totally.
It's how you use this energy.
Exactly.
Energy has two sides.
Yes, yes. Well, so how do you know the difference between good, best OG and the OG that doesn't work? Well, here you are. They all will work to some degree, and it's our intentions, it's our energy that we put into it. We can hold these things and put our intentions in that, and we can then allow that to kind of go out. So intention is big. So when you wake up in the morning, make your intentions come alive, right? Get that spark in you. Make your intentions real to want to really get something happening for that day, for you, for others, right? Essentially, that's would be, the love that you can kind of just show, right? What do you love? Can't just be always just loving you. You need to love yourself enough to be able to want to do it, because if you're not happy with yourself, then you can't have the good energy too. But I really feel that intention is big. Whatever you do, you have a gun, use the gun with the wrong intention, what happens? Okay, use the car with the wrong intention, look what can happen, right? So it's all these things we're allowed to use. So it's all about us. We need to tune ourselves, and then this can just help to any of these things, energy cards, OGs, whatever, all these energy crystals. This is a very powerful energy projector produced by the earth, okay? All right, does an OG work in downtown of a city? Absolutely, works everywhere. Yeah, so I invite everybody to experiment, exactly, right? So it is a minimal investment, and the investment in terms of, if we can get 1,000 of these out in a particular area, with the right intentions of using it, I believe we can make that big energy shift. Like we've heard all about the 100 monkey syndrome, right? Starts with mama, teaching the children, showing. And this is what we're trying to do here, right? Through all our various demonstrations, programs, topics. How can we affect ourselves, affect everybody around us? And so for me, it's like, hey, just share that concept, right? Whatever it is, just come from a heart of wanting to share, because we care, because we love you, and we want you to just all do better, right? We can stop a lot of the crap that's going on that is just totally unnecessary, right? So be the change that you want it to be. So make it you.